But there's an interview that we wanted to do today. It's kind of time sensitive because as we're talking about this blast of heat that we've had, some of you may have spent some time recently planting. Maybe you've been out in the garden, out in your yard. And it got us thinking, like, what is this heat doing to everything that you might have just planted? So we've asked Minnesota gardening influencer Nathanael Hostetter to join us and talk us through, give us some therapy, I guess, and help us through this time. Nathanael, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. Okay,
so we've just had this big blast of heat. What are you seeing right now out there in the gardens? I mean, are certain things going to just be goners and scorched, or can we save some things here?
Yeah, I don't think anything's necessarily a goner quite yet. A couple of days of heat, the plants can handle it, but it really depends on two things. Can we get enough water in the soil? And can we keep that water there? And so the way I like to think about it is, if you're going to be watering, you're going to want to water in the morning and let it soak in for as long as you can. So that way it can build up a reservoir of water in the soil. And then if you have any sort of mulch or anything like that, you're going to want to cover over the soil. So that way, as the day gets hot and the sun is cooking the ground, it doesn't just turn the soil into a parched ground. Mm-hmm. There's still going to be water there underneath some sort of compost or mulch, whatever you have lying around, that will keep the water from evaporating.
Okay. If you don't have a naturally shaded area, do you ever do kind of just a makeshift shade, maybe a white cloth or something over? What would you suggest?
Yeah, definitely. You can get something that's called a shade cloth, and they're really easy to install. You just put up little pieces of wire to hold it up off the plants, and that will shade the plant from the harshest parts of the sun. Or, I think because with the timing of this heat wave, with the heat kind of coming right as everybody's just about to plant or maybe just planted, if you haven't planted your garden yet with your annuals, I would hold off for another day or two till we get that stretch of cooler weather that's coming in. And then if you have those plants that are in those little pots, you can move them into the shade. Or if you have things in planters or hanging baskets, they can be moved into the shade as well.
Yes, and that's a great point. So you have the in-ground stuff that you can maybe put the sheet or the shade over if possible. And then the things that you can move, are there certain, and I come at this from not having anywhere near a green thumb at all. So the questions I might ask are going to be sort of very basic, but hopefully people can pick things up at all levels here. But if you have a container that is movable, what about the material of the container? Does that matter if you have something metal, or if you have some, is that going to help with retaining the moisture or helping in this kind of a situation?
I think probably the material of the container would have a lot to do with how hot the container gets if it remains in the sun. So you can imagine the like a metal container is going to conduct the heat more, which will conduct the heat into the soil, which will cause more evaporation. But like a wooden container, something like that, there isn't a whole lot to be worried about in that regard.
Okay. Is there a concern about any sort of fungal diseases or anything that might develop, because we're watering kind of not in a very natural way here if we're watering? I mean, is there any concern for that kind of thing?
Yeah, so especially if you're kind of broadcasting your water, and the water's getting onto the leaves, and then that heat comes and it kind of creates a lot of humidity around the plant.
Yeah.
And that's where the risk for the fungal diseases come in. One of the diseases I see a lot of times in my garden is powdery mildew.
Okay. And
it's just like a white powder that covers over the leaves, and eventually the leaves won't be able to photosynthesize, and then the plant's eventually going to die. And so what you want to do is when you're watering, instead of, if you can, not broadcast over the plant, but plant at the base or water at the base of the plant, because that's where you want the water to soak in, and then it's not getting caught up on the leaves where it can cause those fungal problems.
Okay, gotcha. And then how about the use of any sort of like fertilizers or chemicals? Should we wait a little bit before we start tampering with things?
Yeah, that's a really good idea. The plants, in order to take up that fertilizer or those chemicals, it requires the plant to have a lot of water and use the water to help make good use of those nutrients that you're giving it. So instead of asking it to do too much during those hot days, take a break again just for a couple of days until the weather cools off, and wait to fertilize until it cools off, and then you don't have too many problems with evaporation.
Okay. And it's tricky because I can't really ask sort of very general questions because gardening is so specific to the type of plant and the type of everything. But as generally speaking, signs of stress in a plant or a flower, what are we looking for? And at what point, I mean, this is like kind of a dumb question, but how do you know when something's just dead and it's just a goner?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I walked out here to my back patio, which is mostly shaded, where I have all my plants ready to go into the ground here in the next couple of days. And there were a few plants that were sticking out into the sun.
Okay.
And they were visibly wilted. That was like at noon. They'd just been cooking in the sun too long. And you could tell that the leaves were drooping. And I just... They're in these little trays. I added some water to the tray so it could soak up the water into the planter. And an hour later, I'm looking at the plants right now, and they look perfectly normal.
Really?
They're not wilting at all.
Oh.
And so if you come out and you see your plants are wilting, they can handle it. All you got to do is just get water to the roots.
Okay.
And then they will start to soak up that water. You know, the top part of that plant, it can handle the heat. It just needs to have enough water.
Yeah.
In order to do so. So long as we keep those plants watered, you're not going to have a problem.
Okay. I didn't ask you this ahead of time, but are you mobile at all? Is there anything that you could show us? And if you're not mobile, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, what do you want to see?
Anything.
Mostly what I have out here are my plant starts. We're in the middle of a garden renovation.
Ooh.
And so we have a lot of construction kind of going on behind me. And then I have about 1,000 plants ready to go in the ground, just sitting here.
Yeah. I mean, would you mind showing us that? Could we see that real quick?
Yep. Some of it might be better suited to camera than others, but
it's okay. Hey, we're super cash around here, so I would just love to see kind of what you have. And while we're doing that, tell us about your YouTube channel. Is it Exquisite Gardens?
Yeah, so it's Exquisite Gardens on YouTube, and what we are attempting to do is a total garden makeover in my backyard, taking it from, if you're familiar with kind of like the north side of the cities up to St. Cloud. Most people have gardens in that area.
Yeah.
It's just one big sand pit. And so we're trying to just see what we can do to make it actually a really beautiful, functional garden that can grow more than just like drought tolerant plants.
That's
so
awesome.
we're trying a couple different things.
Okay, cool. Show us around a little bit.
Yep. So we got kind of your typical pansies in the hanging basket here on the wall.
Yeah.
As well as our these are hanging flower pouches. So it's just a pouch full of soil, and you can put plants in it out the top as well as out the bottom. And those are mostly I got pansies here and petunias in there as well. And
they're doing okay in the sun, Nathaniel?
Well, I watered them this morning, and they're doing okay. You can kind of tell if you look. I don't know if I can show it to you. If you look here at the blooms, you can kind of tell the difference between how they just kind of look large and kind of a little stressed.
Yeah.
Compared to these here.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Which they just look a little bit more tight and firm.
Yep.
So there's a difference, but the reality is they're going to bounce back.
Okay.
And so the plant's just fine. It's just it goes through its cycles with the heat throughout the day.
Okay. Great.
So you can kind of see the project we're working on.
Wow.
How do I do this?
That's a huge undertaking, Nathaniel.
Yeah, so working on like a pergola with some flagstone fire pit, and the idea that we're trying to kind of figure out is you typically use a fire pit in the evening, and so what plants bloom in the evening, and what plants are kind of reflect the moonlight. So we're trying to choose plants that match the time and the use of the space that they're going to be in.
Oh, I love that.
And so here, so we have, if I kind of turn over here.
Wow.
They're all just kind of tucked up against the side of the house.
Wow.
All the different plants that we have ready to go in.
Do you have folks who are there to help you? This is a lot of work for you.
Yeah. Mostly me, and then my neighbor as well. He's been a big help with a lot of the construction.
That's fantastic. Well, we really appreciate you spending some time with us, and I guess the message is don't give up on some of these things. Just let them kind of work themselves out, and depending upon the type of plant, just take extra tender, loving care during these dry, hot days. But it sounds like the forecast is changing Thursday, so hopefully we'll get a little bit of relief from this.
Yeah, if you're waiting to plan out, that would be a really good time to start planning out about Thursday. Yep.
Perfect. Okay, Nathanael Hostetter, thank you so much. And we'd love to check back in with you on the progress on your beautiful backyard and some of the bigger things that you're trying to accomplish here. It was great to chat with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Take care.